Hello, everyone. My name is Halil Kama. I'm a senior peering advisor, and I look after our partnerships at LINX. It's a pleasure to be able to speak to you today. Apologies, I can't be there in person in the lovely Johannesburg, one of my most favorite cities, but unfortunately calendars don't permit, and we're forced to do a remote presentation for this occasion. But hopefully it will be an insightful presentation where we can give some information on what LINX is doing in Africa and the wider scope of things to come. So, LINX Nairobi, your interconnection hub for East Africa. As hopefully most of you will know, we've made our first foray into the African market, and we've chosen Kenya as our location to do so. So Nairobi has been our focal point for launching our internet exchange. Today I'm going to talk about that and the benefits of interconnecting into our exchange in Kenya and what it means for the region. So a bit of background, the London Internet Exchange, we were established in 1994. We're one of the largest exchanges in the world. We have a very strong non-profit community of 850 plus members connected to our exchange, over 900 plus ASNs peering individually at our exchange. We have many customers and members ranging from telco, ISPs, financial networks, enterprise networks, all passing data and exchanging traffic with each other across the LINX platform. We're located in over 80 plus countries globally, so far and wide as Tokyo to Africa, all across Africa to the US and everything in between. And that's what makes LINX such a great community to be a part of. So, new interconnection hub. The LINX strategy, why Africa? Why did we choose Kenya as our first area in Africa to look at? So we've always been open to exploring ideas of working with all of our partners around the world. As you just heard me say, we're in 80 different countries globally with the help of our partners, but we've always been approached to work with many partners from around the world in building up an IXP, but we haven't done so because the setting wasn't correct, or the partnership didn't sit right, or the country itself didn't actually require an IXP. In this area, we found the perfect fit for us was Kenya, so we decided to look at this further. We found that there was a great need to keep traffic local within Africa, as a lot of the traffic is tromboning into Europe. As you all know, across the wax cable and many other cables that come into the African ecosystem, all of this traffic, unfortunately, all goes up to Marseille and into Europe and then back down again. So what we're trying to do is combat this and see the next wave of data transfer happening locally. And obviously, we would like to try and be the ones that are sparing this ecosystem growth that is going to be happening locally. So we're always, LINX is one of LINX's core foundations is that we support local interconnections. And that's what we hope to try and achieve by connecting locally in Nairobi. So the content, as I just mentioned, will no longer go from Europe into Africa. The content will be in Africa, serving Africa. This also gives resilience. It improves latency on the network, and undoubtedly it will also help save on costs. So all in all, we hope that it will have a great positive impact for the local community. So, as Africa is a very rapidly developing market with great potential, we believe that obviously we can help and do our bit as LINX to accelerate this growth further. We have great partnerships and great strong partnerships with many providers in Africa. To name a few below: FIX, Big, CMC Networks, Angola Cables, Work Online, etc., many others that we've worked with for a number of years in London and elsewhere globally, either at a partnership level or directly connecting into LINX. So we look to leverage on these strong partnerships and bring our expertise in working with them locally to your doorsteps in Kenya to work together and build a stronger ecosystem for Kenya and in Africa in general. So why Kenya? Why did we pick Kenya as our first location out of many countries that are located in Africa? It's an interesting user case because Kenya has a very vast and diverse growing internet population, or internet usage population, should I say. 47 million plus internet users. 89.7% of the population is connected, which is phenomenal. That's a great breakout rate for the population in general. It's ranked 3rd in Africa on internet quality. We hope to obviously help improve this number as time passes. There are over 151 unique ASNs, and that is also something that we look at before we enter a new market, because it's a key indicator of how well interconnectivity is doing within Nairobi. Added to that, the huge infrastructure investments that are happening from the likes of Google and other blue chip companies out there that are heavily investing in Kenya. They see it as a stable economy that is a hub of business and a digital economy as well for Africa in general. Added to that, several submarine cables are landing in Mombasa. So we know of many providers that are in Mombasa connecting up vast amounts of data and passing that across into Nairobi. And our goal is to obviously bring it even more locally, give it a more local breakout to the population in Kenya in general, by bringing in more content players, more ISPs, more telcos, so that the traffic isn't tromboning back up to Europe. And we hope by doing so, it will obviously benefit everyone involved. So, as mentioned, for us, Kenya hits all the right spots. It's a great place to do business. The environment for us to do it is much more easier to operate in than other countries. The internet population is great in what we're looking at. So all these factors play a huge part in our decision-making process. But obviously the technological innovation is also one of the key parts that play towards this. So Nairobi is often referred to as the Silicon Savannah of Africa, which is a great nickname to have. Outside of obviously South Africa and what they've built there, and the great job that's happening over there in terms of interconnectivity, I think the second hub for that is either going to be Nairobi or obviously in Nigeria. But it's also being trusted by the likes of, as I mentioned, the large blue chips, IBM, Microsoft, Google. They've set up AI research labs in Kenya, which is a great positive show of strength for the Kenyan economy. There are also further investments from Google that are heavily investing into Nairobi. The data there speaks for itself. So hopefully that will all run smoothly and everything comes into fruition, and it only enriches the IX ecosystem. So hopefully, well, ideally in an ideal world, we would obviously like Google to come on board, and hopefully they will at some point to join us on our exchange and help push the technical innovations forward altogether in Kenya. So what does LINX bring to the table? What do we bring that's different? What do we bring that's unique? What is our USPs in this marketplace? Well, as I mentioned at the very first slide, we're one of the largest IXP operators in the world. We have run and are running one of the most state-of-the-art internet exchange points globally. So we look to bring that expertise locally to Kenya. So we operate fully automated, secure IXPs. We have portal services. We have IX APIs, allowing users to order seamlessly through our portal and place up an order and spin an order up in a very, very short period of time, cutting out all the manual processes. We have one of the best peering products that there is as such, a private interconnect product in London that's heavily used by all of quite a large number of our members. We've recently launched a Cloud Connect product as well in our London location. Closed user group, private VLANs, these are all added values that we provide as LINX. So obviously we would like to try and bring this into Kenya as well, to service this ecosystem and give value to the members that are connecting there in Kenya, so they don't have to go into Europe to reach the Cloud Connect providers that are there, or to private interconnect into someone in Telehouse in London, example, and trombone that traffic back down to Nairobi. We're looking to bring that locally and keep the traffic local so that it improves latency and improves the cost effectiveness for the networks involved. We've served quite a large interconnection ecosystem in general. LINX has a bird's eye view of, as we said, over 900 plus ASNs from across the globe. So hopefully we could bring that expertise in operating in Kenya to you. So the IXP ecosystem, who do we have? Why are they connecting? And what are they obtaining from connecting into us at LINX? So we have
we seem to have lost the sound. Can the tech team please look into it?
We have government institutions pairing at LINX. We even have military entities pairing at LINX. Obviously, that's a very unique user case, but hopefully we'll be in a place where our IXP will be able to reach so many networks that the Kenyan military may even look at it at one point, or another part of Africa, for whatever reason it may be. There are always specific user cases why a certain network would need an IXP. It may be for latency, it may be for costs, it may be to reach one particular network that they have a lot of traffic to. Those two reasons are the same. Each network is individual on their requirements. And obviously coming into the marketplace in Africa, we would like to try and understand and sit with the local networks and hear their pain points and try to fix this for them. That's what our job is, and the bottom underlining point of what we're trying to do. And obviously, by doing so, we create a competitive edge, right? We want more hyperscalers to come into Nairobi. We want to be able to support this. We want to be able to lend the LINX brand name to being able to leverage our relationships in helping this come into Nairobi, whether it's a large hyperscaler, whether it's an independent ISP. We want to help everyone far and wide as much as we possibly can in making it into a connection hub. So where are we located in Nairobi? I mentioned that we are now in Nairobi. We've actually just done the build out and we are ready to go on our exchange. So our first site was IX Africa. IX Africa is a brand new hyperscale data center in Nairobi. They invited us to partner with them in building an IXP in Kenya. They launched in 2022. It's a great facility. If you haven't seen it, I encourage you to have a look if you're in Nairobi. Please feel free to reach out to myself and I could arrange a tour for you via our colleagues there at IX Africa. It's a great facility that's built up to a level that is equivalent to what we see in Europe. So I'm really happy with the progress that's happened there. It's great for the ecosystem. They're looking at bringing in the hyperscalers, cloud providers, and co-locating for all types of networks that need network connectivity in East Africa. So I think it's a great benefits for Kenya, some great news for Nairobi that they've been able to open their site and provide such a large campus that can deliver that amount of megawatts into Nairobi. So this is our first site of where we launched in Africa. From the IX Africa data center. This is where LINX Nairobi itself has launched. So then we've also launched in 2 other data centers. So there's 3 in total across Nairobi. I'll skip on to the next slide. The second site for us is African Data Centers, so commonly known as ADC. They're one of the largest data center operators in Africa, interconnected with carriers, cloud. They're a completely neutral data center facility, which is what we are looking for when we come to partner with a data center. They have services, 9 facilities in 6 countries. So it's great that they've got a wide expansion there of what could potentially happen. Their network, it spans a great area. So that's something that is obviously of great use for customers that come into ADC and that want to connect out. I'm sure the guys at ADC can help you reach the other locations, and if you have any particular business requirements in the countries that they operate in. Then I'll move on to the third site I should mention is iColo. So we'll be operating from there as well. I don't have a slide deck for that yet, but you'll be able to also connect into us from iColo in Nairobi. So there's a 3 data center ring that will be taking place. That means that if a network connects in to IX Africa, connects into ADC, connects into iColo, they will be able to reach us at any of those locations and reach the same networks that are present at any of those sites. Meaning we are creating an ecosystem much wider than each data center. This is created for an IXP ecosystem. That's what LINX Nairobi is trying to achieve. So if you cross-connect in from ADC, you can still reach the same networks that you would get at IX Africa and vice versa. We hope this brings resilience onto the network and provides a better ecosystem for everyone involved. So the technical solution that we've utilized for Nairobi. Obviously, as I mentioned, we're one of the best in the world at operating IXPs. We have a great engineering team that focus heavily on R&D and always looking at the next best thing and what we could possibly do to provide higher quality level of service for our member base. The switches that we've deployed are via Nokia. So we have a great strong partnership with them, and we've utilized them in London and other sites that we are globally present at. In this case, we've also used them in Nairobi as well. So they can offer connectivity at 1 gig, 10 gig, 100 gig, 400 gig even. So there's some exciting things that Nokia is doing. Their lead times are great. Our partnership is very strong. We've chose to partner with them for our sites in Kenya. So service products and services and products that we provide. So you'll be able to get the full range of peering interconnectivity that we provide in London, in Kenya locally. So that's a standard peering service over a flat layer 2. You'll be able to achieve that and peer with any of your neighbors that speak BGP. We'll be offering a reseller program that targets customers who don't want to build a POP directly, but would like to join LINX Nairobi. So you could peer remotely, let's say from London into Nairobi, without having to have a POP in Nairobi. It's a cost-effective way of doing it. Some networks use it to test the waters before building out a full POP and making that CapEx investment. It also enables flexibility. So if you wish to have a burstable bandwidth by using one of our connections reseller partners, you could have a burstable bandwidth, let's say initially at 5 gig, and you could boost that up to 10 gig within 24 hours. So it's a very simple way of giving you that elasticity on your network as and when the requirements are needed. As I mentioned before, it's no secret we're looking at creating an East African hub, of which obviously LINX will serve in that ecosystem of working with our partners, our data center partners, our carrier partners, our reseller partners, working with them all to create a hub together for Nairobi. Working with our connections partners to further push the envelope on what can be done and bringing in further networks and raising the ASN count in Kenya. From being in mid-hundreds, hopefully we could double that and get up to 200, 300, 400 ASNs connected into Kenya locally. And obviously that will then support the interconnection in East Africa and make it a hub. That's what we're hoping to do. The more value that LINX can add as a IXP operator, that value will hopefully be seen in the local economy and seen across East Africa as well. As I said, I don't like to blow our trumpet too much, but as being one of the best operators in the world for IXPs, we operate a state-of-the-art modern high-capacity solution that we can offer. And that's exactly what we've provided with the Nokia solution that we have in Nairobi. Our members are always asking us for higher amounts of bandwidth at a lower cost. And that's an ever-going cycle that happens in our IXP data world. So we're combating that as best as we can with the brightest minds and the best talents to be able to do that. And we believe so for the Nokia solution does cover that for the moment. And we're always looking at new ways of doing things. So yes, we're always, our team are working with Nokia and other vendors as well to look at what's coming next, 800 gig and further afield on that. As I mentioned earlier, so the data centers will be connected with each other. So there'll be a ring between IX Africa, ADC, and ICOLO, where you'll be able to connect into one of them and be able to reach all of the multiple networks that are connected into LINX Nairobi across these sites. This just adds value to the ecosystem of what we're trying to do. And with our connections reseller program, hopefully clouds programs and things that are coming in of that nature, it will enrich the USPs that are offered at our exchange points. So all of our X's are operating on a leaf and spine architecture. And what this means is we try to keep it as simple as possible over a flat layer 2. The customers connect to the leaf switches with the spine switches, then interconnecting both. It keeps things as simple as possible and allows us to have a traditional ring-based or meshed architecture that scales better at a lower cost, essentially, because that's the driving force that we all want to keep our costs low and obviously provide that to the local economy. This is what the network design would look like in an eggshell. So you've got the spine, 100 gig spine on each side. Then you've got a 10 gig and 100 gig leaf that it breaks down to. And then you have the customer switches at the bottom there, where the customer's bandwidth requirements are split, and then connecting back up into the leaf. And again, this enables us to offer a low cost, high bandwidth solution that can be scalable. This architecture also allows us to provide a redundant connection for our IXPs. So that mitigates us against switch failures, against maintenances, power failures, etc. It builds resilience on the network, and we want to keep operating at 5 nines, of which we do in London, and we want to bring that to Nairobi. It is often a requirement for the larger networks, the CDNs, that they have all of these in place before they come to a site. So we've tried to envisage that and make our operations in Kenya equivalent to the level of service they would expect to receive in London. As I mentioned, there's different capacity requirements that are available. So 1 gig, 10 gig, 1 gig, 2 gig, 10 gig, 100 gig capable switches. We've tried to future-proof it as best as possible and try to make a seamless change where if the bandwidth needed on an exchange point needs to be upgraded fairly quickly, we'll be in a position to do that. The 100 gig ports could be broken out 4 times 10 or into multiple different variants. So depending on the customer requirements, we could break out the ports that we have and the available capacity that we have on these switches into the requirements that are needed for our customers. We offer a 10 gig port as standard, but then we rate limit the ports between 1 and 5 gig. So ideally it's around about 2 gig, but we rate limit them at 2 gig, 5 gig, and 10 gig. We've moved away from our 100 megabit connections now as we believe the marketplace is changing. So it's going more towards obviously higher bandwidth consumption. So our connections partner will provide, let's say, 500 meg and upwards in terms of connectivity. With all of that, I'd like to take any questions. Please feel free to email me. I'm happy to answer any type of questions, or there is no silly questions when it comes to peering. So I'm happy to answer all the questions that are out there. It's been a pleasure to present to you today. I hope to do this in person at the next event, and I hope to see you all soon. I wish you all a great conference. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. And we don't have any way of taking questions immediately. So if you have questions, you can email to the address that was given there. Right, let's move on to our fourth and last technical presentation before lunch. We will hear about how to use the RIPE Atlas ecosystem to minimize the impact of